Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Habs postgame show here on Langer at the Mic Live. This Montreal Canadiens versus Winnipeg Jets postgame show. It's 1:50 in the morning, but we're going to break down this 2-1 overtime loss, Habs losing to the Jets in overtime. And I'm just going to say straight up, this was a heartbreaking loss, plain and simple. And like we all know the story coming into this one, 4 losses in a row. Dominique Ducharme, another chance at his first NHL win as a head coach. And the Habs, they outplayed the Jets for 40 minutes of that hockey game, the first period and the third period. They put up 40-plus shots on Connor Hellebuyck, and that were legit scoring chances and legit shots, but they lost 2-1 in overtime because the Habs are still the worst overtime team in hockey, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about how awesome the awesome things that the Habs did in this hockey game. First of all, they're playing without Josh Anderson, but they still came out flying in the first period. And it looked like they're actually making a conscious effort to try to cycle down low and work pucks to the middle and get good scoring chances from the middle and from the slot in the first period. And instead of just feeding the D constantly and getting shots blocked or just getting shots with no traffic and making, opposing goalies have easy saves, just like it's been the case for the first, that stretch after the first 10 games until this game, or even to some extent the last game. But anyway, and then the second period, some of the old bad stuff kind of crept in. Shea Weber took a bad tripping penalty. They killed that off, but then it was a horrible play by Jeff Petry to trip Nikolai Ehlers, which resulted in Nikolai Ehlers scoring that goal. But the Habs rebounded right away with Suzuki scoring a goal from a dead angle. And look, Connor Hellebuyck is a really, really good goaltender, but just like Carey Price, and I don't want to say maybe more so, but let's just say, just like Carey Price, Connor Hellebuyck is still, I find he gives up a lot of bad goals when he does get beat, but he's still a great goaltender. He made a lot of great saves in this game, particularly the one on Gallagher in the second period where Gallagher had a nice shot of a one-timer, or sorry, was it the third period at that point? No, it was the second period still at that point. But yeah, just look, Hellebuyck is due for bad goals, I find, every time. Every more often than not, the goals that he gets beat with are bad goals, but but right now it's happening a lot less often than it is with Carey Price, unfortunately. But anyway, and then the third period, the Habs, they found their legs again. They outshot the Jets 14-2 in the third period. And one of the many things that I thought the Habs did really, really well in this game is they played as a 5-man unit, both on offense and defense. Their D-men were active, from Jeff Petry, from Joel Edmondson to even Sherratt and Shea Weber. Their defense were involved in the attack, and their forwards were involved in covering if a D-man got caught deep, and the forwards would back check, and they didn't give up any odd man rushes, and as a result, they defended the Jets much, much better when the Jets came in on the rush at even strength. And like I said, in the third period, they continued getting really good scoring chances between Suzuki, between Drouin, between Gallagher, between Toffoli. Oh, and also, by the way, Alexander Romanov played one of his best games of the season. He played 17 minutes, 4 shots on goal. He hit 2 posts. And even though he was kind of involved on that goal when he was screening Allen on that Ehlers goal, Romanov still played a really, really strong game tonight. And speaking of which, Jake Allen, he was really, really strong, at least in regulation. I'm not going to comment. I don't want to say too much I don't want to put that goal too much on him. I mean, it kind of wasn't the best goal, but still in regulation, Allen only did face 21 shots over the course of the entire game, but he did make a lot of key saves at key times and made them look easy. He was cool, he was calm, he was collected, and he played with confidence, and he inspired confidence in his team and translate to the way the Canadiens played tonight. And just overall, the way they played tonight, the top 3 forward lines, by the way, the fourth line, clearly Ducharme isn't using his fourth line as much as Claude Julien would. Byron, I think, was around 10 minutes of ice time. Evans was also in the low teens, and Perry was 8 minutes or something. But still, the way the top 3 forward lines played, all 6 defensemen, and Jake Allen, of course, all played a heck of a game. But then overtime happened, and Dominique Ducharme put Phillip Danault on the ice with Yoel Armia and Jeff Petry, and they barely even touched the puck, and the Jets' star power took over, and Stastny buried that overtime winner with help from Kyle Connor and Nikolai Ehlers, and the Habs have now lost 5 hockey games in a row. And tonight, again, they just showed how they're the worst overtime team in hockey. But then again, how do they get to being the worst overtime team in hockey? Because you put guys like Philip Danault getting multiple opportunities in overtime, and it just sucks how even with a new head coach in Dominique Ducharme, that he's still making the bad mistakes that Claude Julien would make with the game on the line in overtime. Like, Philip Danault is a black hole right now offensively. Like, okay, 5-on-5, sure, he doesn't he doesn't turn the puck over as much. He kind of helps Gallagher and Tatar out 5-on-5. Like, he's not a liability. I'm not saying he's necessarily a liability in the offensive zone, but every time he gets a chance to shoot the puck on net, easy save for the goaltender. And he's just really not in a good place right now in terms of his offensive game with no goals. Like, even Nate Thompson has more goals than Philip Danault has right now. But going back to overtime, though, like, Philip Danault is only useful in overtime for winning faceoffs and playing well defensively. And he couldn't do either of those two things in this short overtime tonight. Petry was a good choice because Petry, has a lot of big overtime goals in his career, both 3-on-3 and in the bubble against the Pittsburgh Penguins last year. But Yoel Armia was kind of weird. I mean, maybe Dominique Ducharme was trying to reward him for how he played last game with the 2 goals, maybe. But playing Armia first over Gallagher, over Toffoli, over Tatar, maybe even over Suzuki in overtime, like, I don't know about that. Like, and then, of course, again, Danault over Suzuki over Kotkaniemi. Like, if you're going to lose that opening faceoff, you might as well have just started Kotkaniemi or Suzuki in overtime. And it just, again, it sucks to see Claude Julien before, now Dominique Ducharme, continuing to roll with Philip Danault and counting on him to score when, like I said, Nate Thompson now has more goals this year than Philip Danault has. And at least the good news is tonight, in terms of ice time for the entire game, Danault didn't completely outplay Jesperi Kotkaniemi by as much. Danault played 15 minutes, 32 seconds. Kotkaniemi played 14 minutes, 48. But, like, why can't we see Jesperi Kotkaniemi playing with Tatar and Gallagher? It actually happened for like 10 seconds in the second period, and Tatar got a mini breakaway out of it. He put his shot like a mile over the net, but still, it was good when it happened. Why can't we see more of that? Like, Philip Danault is good at faceoffs, he is good at killing penalties, and he's good at playing well defensively 5-on-5, and that is it. That is it with Philip Danault, with what he's good with. And he should not be getting the opportunities be relied upon to score goals when 3-on-3 overtime or when the Habs are trailing by 1 or whatever. Roll with Suzuki, roll with Kotkaniemi, heck, maybe even roll with Jake Evans when you need a goal. Evans has, I believe, 2 more goals than Danault has this year in a fraction of the ice time. So anyway, back to Kotkaniemi though for a second. I just, the only thing with Kotkaniemi now is he's still, like, I want to say that I want to see more out of Kotkaniemi, but I also want to see him get those opportunities. If he had the same opportunities as Philip Danault had, I'm sure he would give us more. But there was an instance in the third period that just really stood out to me. It was Lehkonen worked his butt off in the Winnipeg left corner to the left of Hellebuck, worked his butt off to create a turnover, gave it to Kotkaniemi in the high slot right on Kotkaniemi's stick, and Kotkaniemi hesitated and dropped it back to the point instead of just on his blade, off his blade, on net. Like, it's instances like that where you could also argue same thing kind of for Jonathan Drouin. Jonathan Drouin played a heck of a game tonight. But there was another instance where Drouin, again, on his backhand, sure, he was on his backhand, but he had a chance to wrap it in on Hellebuck, but instead he turned back to his forehand, which allowed Hellebuck and the Jets D-man in the play to kind of reset and eliminate that scoring chance. So again, with Kotkaniemi, though, like, just those are the things offensively that you just, like, it just is so frustrating to watch with Kotkaniemi because he's still good on the forward check. He's so good at passing. He was back on the power play tonight, which was really nice to see. And he had a really good shot on net through a Corey Perry screen where Connor Hellebuck played it perfectly, getting his glove in the right position and taking away the open space. But that was a really good play by Kotkaniemi on the power play. But just, again, it's like those little things where it's like he has a split second to shoot where a guy, like even Pacioretty back in the day, or, I mean, you look at the best goal scorers in the NHL, like Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, David Pastrnak in Boston, right? Like the best scorers in the AHL, when they get a split second in a good shooting spot with the puck on their stick, they let it go. Whereas just with Kotkaniemi, he has a hard shot, but there's just too much hesitation when he tries to get it off. But when he does get it off, like in a split second, he scores, like on Freddie Anderson back in that Leafs game a week and a half ago. So look, anyway, I won't talk too much just about special teams tonight, but I will say that Shea Weber's shot is more useful when he fakes it than when he shoots it. And the Habs are 1 for 3 on the penalty kill tonight. And just their biggest problem to me in watching them is they make me nervous because they're still not aware of who the most dangerous shooting option on the ice is. And Jake Allen had to make a couple of really nice saves in those instances, but there were times where there was a clear passing lane to either Kyle Connor or Mark Scheifele or even Nikolai Ehlers, like just a seam pass through what would be the ringette line in a minor hockey rink, right, set up perfectly for a one-timer, and not a single Montreal Canadian of the 4 penalty killers on the ice had any idea that Ehlers, or I forget who exactly it was there, but there was a clear passing seam there, and the Jets didn't go for it. But just the lack of awareness on the penalty kill is a really big problem for the Canadiens right now. So anyway, but look, man, 5 losses in a row. Hopefully it doesn't get to 8. And at least the Canadiens, they have 2 days off before playing the Sens on Tuesday. Yes, those friggin' Ottawa Senators that the Canadiens only beat 1 out of 4 times. And hopefully the Canadiens can win at the Bell Center for the first time since February 2nd. February 2nd is the last time the Canadiens won at the Bell Center. So they will have played this entire month of hockey in February. Sure, they had that week off, but they will have won only 2 games at the Bell Center in the entire month of February. But look, anyway, if they play like they did tonight under Dominique Ducharme, they'll be okay against the Ottawa Senators on Tuesday. They might need more than 1 goal, but in terms of the overall body of work, Connor Hellebuyck is a much better goaltender than Matt Murray or Hogberg is. So that I can guarantee you. So, but then again, look, they got to score. They got to find a way to score more than 1 goal, and hopefully it doesn't get to overtime, and hopefully they don't crumble like they did on Thursday. But just in the words, or as said by Jim Mora in his famous playoff speech, let's just hope the Canadiens can win a game, man. That's all. Let's just hope they can win a game. So anyway, look, it's late. It's 1:27 a.m. Thank you so much for watching this Langer at the Mic Habs postgame show. As usual, if you enjoy my commentary here, give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Give me a follow on Twitter and or Instagram at Mike Langer. That'll be in the description below in a bit. But this has been a Habs postgame show here on Langer at the Mic. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again next time.